I waited over 20 years after leaving the Navy to even pursue my disability claims. There's a lot of you out there, just like me, who've been out of the military for 10, 20, 30 years or more, and just decided that I'm not going to pursue it. It's too late. I've passed my time and I have no options. To be honest, I'm not hiding anymore. I want to share this story and this process with you guys out there, both men and women who've served, that haven't taken advantage of this huge benefit. And it's for multiple reasons. You know, it's not like, for me, I didn't do it because obviously I didn't serve or that I wasn't worthy, but the process was confusing. I hated the VA, to be honest, and at the end of the day, I just kept living. If this resonates, this video is for you. I was confused, I was overwhelmed, and I hated the process. Hey, you're not too late, you're just waking up. Welcome to The Delayed Vet. This channel is all about helping veterans like you and me make the decision to process your VA claims, to get what you deserve and earned, but also focus more on the process, the mental process, and all the emotions that come with it. Because there's a ton of channels out there that can explain, you know, the differences of processes as far as the VA. But I wanted to speak to you from a human level, and not saying that the other channels don't, but not so much about information, but more about the psychological aspect of it. I got out of the Navy in the year 2000, and back then, you know, I'm a Gen Xer, 50 years old. This channel is all about those of you who served the country, got out of the military, and walked away from a huge benefit. And a lot of that walking away was based on you just wanted to get out. I know that's how it was for me back in the day. It was all about, hey, check these boxes. Yes. Why? Because if you check those boxes, yes, you can get out and not be restricted or held up or anything like that. The other thing that's important is that if you're like me, we're looking at all the other individuals who may have lost limbs or some catastrophic event that happened to them. And I just felt like I was okay. But as time moved forward, I realized all these things that was happening with me. And I decided, you know what, man, it's time to make some shifts. And true story, the reason why I really pursued this, to be honest, is because of my best friend. He retired after 20 plus years serving in the government. And I was looking around like, damn, how am I going to retire? I work in an industry where that's not necessarily the case. There's no pension or anything like that. And I start thinking, man, you got to figure this out. Can't wait and hope for Social Security. Who knows what's going to happen, right? So I started this journey again, and it wasn't the first time, actually. The first time, I got fed up with the process, and I just stopped. It was 2010. I've been out of the military for 10 years, and my Montgomery GI Bill benefits was ending, and I'm like, man, I gotta do it, you know, but I just walked away. This channel is for veterans who've walked around for years saying that they're fine, that they'll just push through, that there's somewhat of a survivor's remorse, and to be honest, just embarrassed that it took forever to make the decision. I'm not here as someone who figured it all out. I'm here as someone who's being honest with myself, honest with the process, and I hope by me sharing, it'll motivate you, it'll encourage you, and maybe even inspire you to start your claims. I'm here as someone who felt like I took too long. I'm someone who decided to look myself in the mirror to make this change, and someone who, like you, thought that it was too late. When I got out, I just did like a lot of us do. I moved on, ended up getting married, started a family, and I wanted to start a career. And in some parts of me, I wanted to forget about certain aspects of the military. And I focused so much on the career that I forgot about the things that I did and how I served the country. But over time, I just started, thinking about things and analyzed, my experiences, the things that, some of my colleagues and friends had already began their process and did their process. I still could work. I still could provide. I told myself I was okay. I wasn't falling apart like some vets, so I just figured I'll just push along. So I thought. What I realized, surviving is not the same thing as healing. And a lot of us just push through. And that's not fair to us. It's not fair to our family. And truth be told, in many cases, no one's going to rescue you. No one's going to save you. No one's going to put you in the position to take care of yourself. We got to do it for ourselves. I have to be honest. When I think about things, it was not just about I was freaked out dealing with the VA or that the process was too long. There was a lot of things that I think you guys would agree. There was shame. There was guilt. Survivor's remorse. That feeling like you're stupid or dumb because you don't understand things. And then also that too much time passed. But then the deeper thing is that with all that time passing, you're aging, your body's starting to tell on you. And before you know it, your body starts to just break down in certain ways. And I'm like, what is going on? Obviously, we were aging, but there's just so many dynamics to this. Another thing that vets would say, I don't want any handouts. And, there are more guys that are in more severe conditions than me, so I'm not going to pursue it. If you're telling yourself you waited too long, I understand. If you're telling yourself that no one would believe you, I understand. If you're telling yourself it's absolutely too late to figure it out and the process is way too long, I understand. I was there. What I need you to know and believe is that waiting doesn't make you weak, waiting doesn't make you lazy, and waiting doesn't mean that your story isn't important, because it is. A delayed veteran is not someone that gave up. It's a veteran that woke up and realized I have value and I've earned every penny of what's due to me. I believe a lot of veterans don't just delay their claims. They delay in trust. Trust in the system, trust in the VA, trust in the process. They don't trust their memory or trust even your story. Trusting in all these companies that are out there always talking about they can help. You start questioning yourself like, do I really deserve this? Am I really that bad? Will anyone even help me? Or can I even get anything in this process? All I'm going to do is get frustrated and pissed off because I already know exactly how the VA works and I just don't want to deal with it. That's why this channel is important. It's not about false promises, committing to that you'll make a certain rating, or the state that it's easy. I'm here to tell you the truth about your emotions, what it takes, the commitment, the discipline, the practice, and the process to not quit more than anything. The emotional truth and the mindset truth. And that's what this channel is all about. I'm going to be talking about like the philosophy of like resetting your mind and what that looks like. We're going to talk about the reset. Like, what does that look like? You have to reset, and it starts with mindset. If you focus on resetting your mindset, that will get you in motion. And we have to start there. Before you submit any claims, before you get any checks, before you head over to the VA or start processing things online, you really have to think about your mindset, about what you're about to take on. Because if you commit to it and you do it, I promise you, you won't regret it. You might be frustrated in the process, but you won't regret it. Here's the first step. What I want you to do is one major thing. I'm not going to ask you to do everything at once. I'm not going to ask you to go through the full VA process. I just want you to do one simple thing. I want you to start documenting and writing what was your experience like in the military. Then I want you to write down what still impacts me today. Like, how are you feeling? What are the things that are bothering you? And I want you to start thinking back, like connecting the dots, because that's one of the most important things, telling your story, to connect the dots back to when you were serving. And I promise you, once you start this process, you'll start thinking about all these things that happened. You're like, oh man, I forgot about this. I want you to think about what you've been minimizing all these years. What have you been overlooking? I don't want you to judge it. Don't edit it. Don't overthink. Just start writing. Start thinking of this document as like a journal. You're journaling. You're doing a brain dump of your experiences. And some of it might be challenging, but also some of it could be cathartic, meaning some of it could like really put you in a good mood in some of these old stories and experiences that you haven't thought about in years. The reset doesn't start with a bunch of paperwork. The reset starts with you being honest. Honest with yourself, honest with your experience, and honest about the possibility, because you don't know, right? So this was episode 1 of The Delayed Vet. This was my wake up story. This is my truth. And I hope together we can build trust, we can stay committed, and we can reach the ultimate goal of recommitting to yourself, resetting your mindset, and understanding you're not alone. It doesn't matter how many years you waited at this point. What matters is you're making a decision today to move forward. If this whole story resonates with you, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to subscribe. I need you to write in the comments shame, fear, embarrassment, frustrated, hopeless. This is not about judgment at all. This is about recognition and recognizing these are the feelings and emotions that we're having. Because if we can get through those emotions, we can get to the action and we can start going through the process. And the process is what's going to help us get to the goal. I'm Hassan, and this is The Delayed Vet. You're not late. You're waking up.